It's like total chaos getting ready for a podcast around here.
It is. Look at all these spare parts we got stacked on this table here. I mean,
we're recording audio in like 3 different places. Hopefully we got some good audio. Who knows? But getting us all 3 in one place is a miracle in itself.
Yeah, we've been planning this for a couple of days and trying to get everything to come together. And
well, you've been traveling. I've been traveling. You want to talk about your travels?
And I've been working.
Oh, you don't work.
I know his other boss.
No, we took off to. I took off to Washington D.C. for Indiana Farm Bureau. Right back to the old Vegas tricks. Every plane I was on was a minor mechanical
At least
malfunction.
It was minor mechanical, not major.
The one ended up we had to swap planes, so it wasn't too minor. They said we're gonna have to. We need to wipe the dust off one and drag one out of the boneyard out here, so you guys get on it and take off.
You want to?
But no, we had very successful trip, very good trip in D.C.
You want to elaborate on that a little bit? I don't know how far you can go on it, but
no, we're a farm bill gets passed every 5 years. The last farm bill was 2018, so 2023 is farm bill year.
So you were telling me some statistics, and we're going to get way off. This podcast.
I didn't bring my notes with me.
This podcast is supposed to be about rental versus leasing versus
See, that's first I'd heard that. So.
we're already way off
Yeah.
the weeds. But you're telling me some statistics about this farm bill. Like 80% of this farm bill goes to was it welfare?
Nutrition, no. Nutrition.
Nutrition.
So 2018 farm bill is $867 billion. 78% of that went towards nutrition. So that's a lot of your food stamps and lower income family feeding. So
whenever there's some
it's hard to describe it as a farm bill when so much of it's.
I don't want anybody to take me the wrong way as I'm discrediting those programs, but whenever you hear that number as a farm bill, people automatically think that's what you as farmers are getting.
That's a farmer welfare.
Farmer welfare.
Yeah.
That is not quite the case.
It's not the case.
78% of that is the welfare for the general public.
And we could not get a farm bill passed on its own just due to your voting. So we know we got to throw nutritional in there. So if you don't get in politics, your Republicans are going to back farm bill, your Democrats are going to back nutritional.
So that's the compromise.
You throw them together, but it still goes one-on-one because farmers are producing the food that we're.
Right.
So it makes the government our number one customer buying our produce. So
a little bit more of a correlation than what I guess you might think there is.
But you know the 2023 farm bill. Oh my goodness!
Pat set the house on fire.
And you know the Democrats are looking like a $700 billion farm bill this year.
Down from 800?
Down from 867. The Republicans is looking about $1.5 trillion.
Holy
So there's a lot of compromising to do.
Wow, that's a big difference.
To have a bill on Biden's desk.
This is a good snapshot of the way government works for people who don't know the inner workings. Is the Farm Bill funds a lot of things that ain't farming. It may be somewhat tied to it, but and that goes along with infrastructure or transportation.
It's all in there. You look at crop insurance is funded through there, your commodity programs through there, your conservation programs, your rural development. It's got 10 titles to the Farm Bill.
So what changes may be coming to the Farm Bill that you guys are pushing for or you'd like to see?
Well, I don't know if we're pushing, we just want to maintain what we got.
So you don't want to go backwards?
We do not want to go backwards. That's the first thing.
So I don't think, maybe we should do a whole podcast about this. I'm getting way off track here, but the importance of that bill to you is there's a lot of things that what you do you can't control, weather.
Well, weather, the
natural disasters,
and that's the crop insurance. Our crop insurance premium is subsidized by the government like 60% to make it affordable for the farmers too.
So if you have a drought or a flood or a forest fire, or
it's a safety net. What it is.
God.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I made one assumption while I was up there.
Oh boy.
You've got your elected representatives or your elected senators.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them's old in age. This whole country is run by 20-year-old staffers.
Oh yeah, I could have told you.
They know every word in every bill. They know everything going on. These elected officials are just the face we see. Each office has 10 staffers right out of college.
Mm-hmm. The only correlation is that elected official usually chooses those staffers.
Yes.
And kind of they follow his mindset a little bit.
Yep.
But no, I I forgot what I was dealing with a couple years ago. We ran into that. It was crazy how knowledgeable they are, and honestly, sometimes you're better off talking to them than you are the person yourself.
That was most people we talked to, all staffers this trip up there. So I got put on a American Farm Bureau issue advisory committee. So that's a 2-year term that could go to a 4-year term. So it's interesting. You know, one guy sat beside me was from Iowa. A lady sat beside me was from Idaho. And you know, here I'm sitting in Indiana. She's talking about 12 inches of rainfall, and we're talking about 55 to 60 inches of rainfall.
Yeah, it's. I guess that's another good point you bring up, is that bill has to encompass a lot of different climates, a lot of different crops.
Yep.
You know, we get so hyper focused on our own little local environments,
Local or Midwest.
that we kind of forget about everything else going on. Because I'm assuming that goes from everything to the watermelon farmers to the fruit farmers.
Well, the Farm Bill does help in there, but a lot of those specialty crops are not insurable.
Okay.
So that's one plus we're pushing for the crop insurance program, is to go into
Cover
the
the specialty.
specialty type stuff.
Gotcha.
You know, Indiana's number 1 or number 2 in popcorn production, and there's only about 25% of the county is insurable for popcorn.
Really?
Yeah. We're sitting with red gold in northeast Indiana. Tomatoes are not insurable. All the Posey County melons up through Gibson County and Knox County is non-insurable.
Yeah.
That's I don't know that. I guess I just assumed that all crops were insurable one way, shape, or form.
Nope.
Or anything. So, all right, we've got way off track. So that's Farmer Chris's traveling adventures. You want to talk about your traveling adventures?
My traveling adventures. I went to the farm show.
Yeah. Yeah, you did go to the farm.
That's my traveling
Which is like an hour from here.
Yeah.
Hey, I did treat you though. You got to go 2 days.
Yes.
And one
yes.
day you got to go by yourself. We left all the other kids at home.
That's right. That's right. We left all the other kids at home.
Yeah, we had.
Don't you classify him as a kid?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh.
As long as I keep the Happy Meals when I eat, he does.
We took Matt and Gunner the first day, and Aaron got to go all by himself the second day.
Yep. So I got my booster seat back in the truck.
Did you learn anything?
We had a couple of
yes.
conversations.
Yeah, we
at the
did.
farm
We
show.
did. Which I mean, several different ones. I ain't going to talk about them, but
I don't know if we can talk about any of them yet. There's nothing
Yeah.
materialized, but we got a few seeds planted. Yeah,
Yep.
of
Good
the
deal.
Farming analogy.
it was pretty successful.
Yeah, good deal.
Where we hit a brick wall and just kept bouncing off of it there was no welders at this farm show this year. Can you believe that?
He was determined I was going to buy him a new welder.
Yep.
You know how on the back wall, in that very back pavilion,
Yep.
they've always got the welders right on the back side
Yep.
of the wall? There wasn't nobody in town. Hobart, Miller.
No, they weren't there.
Lincoln,
I didn't even pay
Nobody.
attention to that.
Yeah, it was
He found one welder up by the windmill in the main south hall, but it was
it's
just, on
for display
Oh, really?
for a shelf that goes on top of the bottle.
He was pretty disappointed.
Yeah, because he did bring his checkbook along to write a check out for a brand new welder.
I scoped the thing and knew it wasn't done up there, so I thought.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
you've been working your traveling's been to work. You've been working a few emergency outages.
Yeah, I've been working a couple emergency outages. Got a little 1 week scheduled outage that I got to do yet. And then after that, just be emergency outages. But that's what I was doing, trying to find manpower right before
You
this.
better buckle things up. Field tile season's right around the corner.
Yeah, I know.
We already
Well,
talked
some people are going on 2 week long vacations coming up.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
All right, so you're cut off. Back to my. It's back to me. You're done.
Oh,
So
yeah,
you've been in
yeah.
Florida for about a week?
Yeah, so I was in Florida for 5 days with Clint, CNC Equipment, Southern Homestead Transformation, a couple other friends, Chris, Let's Dig 18, myself. Hit all the auctions. I actually went down there looking for something legit this year.
Yeah.
Last year I just went down there to goof off and bought a truck. This year I went down there to actually buy a truck and couldn't find one.
Couldn't find what you wanted, wasn't it?
Yep.
Well, you found one. Just party pooper.
Yeah, Party Pooper Clint.
Party pooper Clint knocked you
let's
out.
talk about that real quick. So if you guys watch the channel, those videos have already posted because they're current. So everybody says the Black Mac was absolutely junk and yada, yada, yada. And the Black Mac was in way worse shape than what the White Mac was. But the price was also way
The
less.
price is way less. Yeah.
Junk is relative. Like, I still think the black truck for what it sold for was actually maybe even I haven't seen the other trucks, so I can't
Yeah.
judge, but just as good or better of a deal. It just required more work and attention.
How much time you had on the backside of
Right.
it?
Now, the truck I got is also a lot nicer truck, but I also paid more for it. So if you use that on the sliding scale, I wouldn't say the truck was junk. You just got to make sure you pay accordingly to what its value is, right?
Yep.
One guy was going on and on and on about comments about how I need to listen to Clint, which, I mean, I do value Clint's opinion, and that truck was junk I never even should have looked at. And I'm like, now, wait a minute. That truck might be just what somebody's looking for.
Yeah.
It ain't I mean, honestly, that truck, I would have jumped in and drove it home.
Made a good farm truck for somebody anyway, wouldn't it?
Or a site truck or something.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to put 5,000 miles of gear on that truck. It would serve us just fine. It just would have, it never would have looked as nice, and it would have taken more shop time to get it where we want it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Versus the other truck is going to show up, it's going to go straight to work. So, but no, traveled around down there. We had a good time. Weather was nice. Didn't hit no rain. It was hot. I actually even looked at 2 trucks on Facebook Marketplace in Orlando while I was down there.
While you was down there?
Still couldn't find nothing I like. Of course, the day I leave,
Yeah.
This one rolls in on you.
This one rolls in. Clint bought it for me. I still haven't seen it.
See, if you'd have been on my planes, we'd have had a minor breakdown, and you might have still been there for that truck to come in.
I'll tell you what, I flew down there. Air travel is tight anymore. Flew out of Louisville to Atlanta to Orlando. I was the first plane out of Louisville that day. We were half an hour late. I was running through the Atlanta airport to get to where I needed to be. I was the last person on the plane.
I don't think I could ever fly alone. I get lost as soon as I step off the plane. I have no clue where I'm supposed to go.
Did I tell you about the individual sitting next to me on the way back?
Oh, yeah. On was it the way back or the way down?
Way back.
No. I don't think.
Coming from Orlando to Atlanta?
Somebody like me that never flown before?
No, she was an opposite sex of you.
Oh.
Is this story ringing a bell yet?
Yep. I know which one you're talking about now.
She liked her adult candy. Is that a good
Really? Really?
She's real jittery.
Jittery.
Twitchy.
So it was her first time ever flying. I'm sitting on the window seat.
That's all it was. She just never flew before.
First time ever flying. I'm sitting on the window seat. She's sitting in the middle. Somebody else has got the aisle seat. We get ready to roll out on the runway and take off. She looks at me. She goes, "This is my first time ever flying. Will you hold my hand?"
Oh, my goodness.
I said, "Ma'am, I don't think that's appropriate."
Yeah.
We fly. So, anyway, I chit-chatted with her, made small talk or whatever. Then we get to Atlanta, which Atlanta's a big airport.
Yes, I've heard
Yes.
that. I've heard
She
that.
wanted to know where her next gate was at. So I was trying to be a nice guy and figured out where she was going, and I was relieved she was going to a different terminal than I was. And she's like, "Well, can I get your phone number just in case I get lost?" I'm like, "No, you can just ask the gate agent. They'll get you where
They'll get you where you go.
They'll get you where you need to go." So,
On my flight out of Indy, we had to switch planes. We had a female pilot, and we left Indy an hour late, and we got to D.C. a half hour late.
she hit the gas pedal.
I think she told the crew to put on a little extra fuel. We got time to make up. So, and I was riding with a person that goes to D.C. every week, and he goes, "That's the fastest I've ever went from Indy to D.C."
Yeah.
She was pouring it on.
That reminds me of some of the stories we heard from some other pilot friends about getting around from point A to point B.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's kind of a catch up what we all been up to. We got, I don't know how many more episodes we're going to pop out. It's Chris alluded to field tile season.
Yeah, it's getting close, man.
Planting season's coming and weather's changing. We moved equipment today.
Yep.
It's I do have Con Expo coming up. We got a bunch of meet and greets at Con Expo. And then I got to go to Hawaii so I can stay married.
Yep, there we are.
As expensive as the trip to Hawaii is, I've ran the math. It's still cheaper to go than get divorced.
It's interesting.
And for the record, this is not my project in the background. But watch it on YouTube.
But I did see a video the other day of him sanding on it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
He just told me. Yeah, she's trying to get me set to sand on. Good luck with that.
The only good thing for him,
exactly.
it was on Snapchat, and once you play it, it disappears, so I don't have evidence no more.
Yeah, which means AKA. And if he would have watched it the second time, he would have realized I was not sanding.
Okay.
Oh, look now. Yeah, cover up for him, Chris. He told me he would not sand on that.
I was teaching how to use the wire grinder to take DOT tape off.
I'm trying to figure out what color we're painting in.
Oh.
Chris, this is a conversation I just don't care about.
Well, what is our subject for today?
Oh, okay, yes. So finally, we've been rambling on for 15 minutes, and we're finally around to what we're talking
Yeah.
about. So this is a question I don't get asked a lot, but I do get asked quite a bit, and it's an interesting conversation, and I thought you were just the guy to have for this.
Okay.
Is renting versus buying versus leasing. I own all of my equipment. I rent very little. I can't remember. When was the last time I rented something? It was probably grandma's job, that little jackhammer.
Yeah.
I won't say
Down there at
that's probably
Troy?
the best I can remember.
Yeah, and then I got in trouble for that. You own some tractors.
Yes,
You lease at least one right now, don't
I
you?
lease one right now.
But you've leased others in the past.
We have leased 2 others in the past, and we have rented tractors in the
tractors,
past.
and I've rented some equipment here and there.
Yeah.
I guess to start this conversation off, as far as why don't I rent a whole lot? Is there is not a whole lot available where we're located at.
No, there ain't.
I'm like an hour from 2 major cities, one way, one the other. And even those cities don't have a whole lot available. There is.
Yeah, you'd have to go to dealerships and try to find something sitting there on the rental
Right.
lot.
So whenever people say, "Why don't you rent this or rent that for a job?" There's times. Let's just say I wanted to go rent a Fecon mulcher. It's probably 3/4 of a day just to get it,
Oh, every bit of
maybe even more. It's not like I can just run down 2 blocks and pick one up and throw it on a skid steer
Yeah.
and go to work. Or if I'm going to rent something, it's probably going to be like for a month.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to use it for a month, a lot of times my math says I'm just better off finding something to buy.
and that's where I got into a lot of mine too. We had a tractor break down this last spring, so we rented a tractor for 60 days, and the bill ended up being the down payment. So I just said,
Right.
just write me up a loan. If I'm going to pay that kind of money for a rental, that can be the first payment on it. So
I think we can almost categorize this conversation in 2 different ways too. People our size, you're a medium-sized farmer. I'd say I'm a small to medium-sized excavator. And a bigger company would probably look at this completely different than what we look at.
exactly.
So,
As far as my rental, we can rent a telehandler with a bucket. Something we use 1 month, every 2 or 3 years.
for loading manure.
Load manure. If our loader tractor goes down, that's what we can go get. Don't get me wrong. If we owned it, I'd use it a lot more.
Right.
But it just don't cash flow right now. So
Right. So let's just kind of do a hypothetical that maybe less hypothetical than reality, but you're looking to you need to acquire a new 300 horse tractor. So what makes, I know the last couple tractors in that horsepower range, I believe you leased, is that correct?
we start off on a lease deal, yes, because
I guess what made the lease deal appealing to you, or what advantage did you see of it versus buying, or did it make more financial sense to do it that way, or?
there's a couple advantages to leasing equipment. For one, it don't go on your balance. It's not supposed to go on your balance sheet.
Okay.
So a lease is a input in a cash flow, because it's not an actual payment on a balance sheet.
So for budgeting purposes, it's very easy to budget for that piece of equipment because
Yes.
you know exactly what that lease payment's going to be.
Yes. Now, some of our lease equipment, your lease equipment is on your credit score.
And the remaining balance you owe, or the remaining balance of the value of that piece of equipment, don't show up on your balance sheet as debt.
As debt, correct. It's not an asset and it's not a debt. It's just the payment is a cash flow.
Right. So if you're running a tight debt to income ratio,
Yes.
by leasing $300,000-$400,000 tractor, I know what a tractor costs.
Yep, every bit. So that's one way around it.
Okay.
The second reason we lease for like a 3-year lease or 4-year lease, we've always turned around and bought them back out at the end. You take a $400,000 tractor and put it on 5-year payments, you have a big payment plan or a
Okay.
big payment. So if we lease it for 3 years and then buy it for 5-year loan, now we've got our payments spread out over 8 years, which makes our payments more manageable for our cash flow.
So just to kind of recap that, is basically your 3 years of lease payments. In theory, I know there's some question mark, or there's some stipulation in this, but in theory, if you lease that tractor for 3 years, them payments should come right off the principal
It
amount.
comes off that, and then when your lease is over, you get your residual amount left,
Right.
which is after your lease payments, and that's what you're going to
So let's
finance
just say
to
you
buy.
had a $400,000 tractor, you paid for 3 years on it, and your lease payments added up to $200,000. Do they take that exact amount off, or is it adjustable, or?
It's adjustable. The last tractor we did stuck right on that dollar amount.
Okay.
Because from the time we signed the lease to the time we end the lease, the value of used equipment had went up. So we got stuck to that. The first lease we did on that T8330, in the 3-year lease term, the value of equipment had went down. So I owed, after my lease, my residual value left on that tractor was like $200,000. But that tractor in everyday world, I could go buy it for $150,000.
Gotcha.
So I'd have been smart just to walk away from it, go buy me another tractor. New Holland sees that. Hey, will you give us $150,000 for this tractor now?
Right.
And
so they're still willing
I actually profited $50,000 off that lease because the value of equipment went down.
So they're willing to negotiate with you whenever that.
Yes.
Because their ultimate goal is to get you to buy that tractor. They really don't want it back, right?
They do not want it back. Now, you got to watch your hours. A lease, I can lease tractors a 300-hour a year lease, a 600-hour a year lease, a 900. That's going to fluctuate your lease payments. But they don't come every year and check your hours.
You can overrun 1 year. Basically, you just have to hit that at the end of 3 years.
At the end of 3 years.
You got to hit that. So do you get penalized if you run over?
If you buy it, no. If you walk away from it, you owe a set amount, which is in the lease for the hour.
So I guess that's, you got to be, I guess if you're going to lease, reading the fine print, so.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So if you lease this piece of equipment for 3 years, and I'm asking these questions because I've never leased anything, to be honest with you, and I guess this could probably apply to an automobile too, I don't know.
I don't know how automobiles work.
Well, if you lease this thing for 3 years and you buy it, is the warranty gone?
No, you go off the factory warranty.
So if it's got a 5-year factory warranty?
If it's got a 5-year warranty, that warranty
years.
stays with the tractor.
2 years left.
I guess the surprise we got when we was leasing equipment, because your personal property tax is so delayed, you got to pay personal property tax on that equipment because it's actually
in your name.
In your name. New Holland don't want to pay that property tax. So
I'm assuming everywhere's got personal property tax like we do, or should we explain that?
I don't know. I'm assuming they do, but I mean that's about like real estate tax.
So basically, here in I guess it's a county thing.
It should be a state thing.
All right. So I think it's state. I'm sure our county has a way to mandate or a way to regulate this, if I had to guess. But basically, they value our equipment as property, which would be no different than a piece of actual property you own.
Buying a piece of ground.
And you pay property tax on it.
You pay a property tax on that value.
Which is, that's a whole nother podcast.
I think I'll stick to my old vehicles.
Unfortunately, we're
this
seeing.
This not worth enough to send the gas out the other vehicle.
Yeah.
Our taxes have went down in the last 3 years, but there's going to be an upturn on that coming very soon. It's going to take off.
I have zero issues paying taxes. I have a big issue with the way they spend my tax money.
That's everybody's issue, ain't it?
No, like I'd be more than happy to pay taxes if I thought we were spending it wisely, but.
You guys live way out here in the sticks, got these beautiful paved roads.
Are they beautiful or are they just paved?
Oh, compared to where I live, they are beautiful.
That's more to do with how little. That has less to do with how much you pay in taxes and more to do with who you know.
Which I know that's a county tax, not a state tax, but
But
there's politics played at all levels.
Yeah.
But we definitely go out and we're we're mainly leasing our new equipment. Now, when we go buy used equipment, you can get a lease on it, but we just buy it and be done with it. So we're just trying to spread payment load out, get the payments down.
Right. So
cash
I
flow
guess the
for
other thing is
operation.
too is whenever you bring that piece of equipment onto your balance sheet, that debt number is going to be substantially less right off the bat.
Correct. Yeah, it's the value of what you paid for it too.
Because your guys' biggest expense is not necessarily your equipment, but it's your operating loan.
Oh yes, yeah, operating loan.
You guys put a lot of money in the ground, so you got to make sure you have a ratio number to hit to make sure you can.
There is definitely. I learned more in banking in the last 8 years since I kind of took over the finance of the farm than any time. So I've had a pretty wide range of education.
So let me run this scenario by you. Let's say that the concern of a number on a balance sheet wasn't as a big a concern, and that the amount of the payment wasn't as of concern. Would leasing still look as good to you?
No. If you can cash flow the payments, just buy it and be done with them.
Just buy it and be done
Yeah.
with it. So
Because you're paying more interest.
that's what I was getting to.
The interest payment's going to eat you up over time.
Do you know what the interest is, lease versus buy versus?
Well,
just
they
buy?
don't have you an interest in a lease payment. That's just all figured in there.
Figured in there.
Yeah, they know what that value is. So.
I guess where I'm going with that statement is this is a very, very useful tool when used correctly.
Yes, yeah. If you're running a tight budget or tight cash flow, I see leases being very beneficial. And it gives you a chance to see if that piece of equipment works for you, because one of the
Yeah, that's a good point.
perks for the lease, if you ain't happy with it or it don't work for what you do, you walk away from it. So.
Yeah.
So whenever you have that piece of equipment in lease in your possession, it's technically yours, right?
Yeah, it's ours. Yeah.
So if it breaks, you repair it just like it's yours.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
unless
obviously if it's
the
not
warranty.
But if you damage the loader on it,
it's our
deal.
So is that the difference between rent and leasing then? Like if you rent a piece of equipment from, say, Bless Brothers or a New Holland company, if you're renting it and something breaks, do they take care of it, or do you have to take care of it?
I'm gonna say it depends on what it is, but yeah, if you're on a short-term rental, a lot of times something major, they're gonna jump in and take care of it.
Okay, I know.
But when you rent equipment, we got to carry insurance on it. So I'm gonna say our insurance is probably gonna be liable for some major breakdowns on that.
Yeah,
so.
go to rent. So,
and even lease, we got to pay the insurance on a lease deal also. So
I guess that's another good point you bring up though is if you're not for sure if you need a 300 horse tractor or a 450 horse tractor.
That was my question.
Yeah.
That'd be my question.
Lease one for a year and see how it fits into the operation.
Yep.
Which that goes all the way back to my conversation about buying equipment. Do all your research you can.
Yep.
Try to buy what you think
for
you need. Don't go overpay for the first piece you buy. Get something that's in that realm, put it to work, and then figure out what you need or you don't need. Going forward from there.
I'm gonna say a lease helps us pick out the lemons. If you've definitely got consistent problems with it, we're gonna step away.
But you bought the lemon.
We bought the lemon.
Which one? You've had problems with both of them.
The Versatile has been my biggest headache.
You put less money in that one, haven't you?
It's a cheap tractor, but no, they've both been headaches. But
should we discuss what color they are just so everybody knows?
They're not green.
Actually, you've had headaches with the green one too.
We did have headaches with the green combine, so I guess the aggravating part.
The more I think about this, maybe you should check your antifreeze.
We put spring water in them. Have you ever seen spring water freeze?
No.
Well, you put it in there.
This is not the same spring water you see in the grocery store in the little.
I had a guy at the bar tell me one day, I just run spring water in my radiator. I looked at him, he goes, have you ever seen spring water freeze up? And I said, well, no. He goes, just put in your radiator in there.
I don't think that's the way it works.
Okay.
You're Versatile. Or no, you're
T8 330.
Yeah, you had what, liners leaking at?
We had O-rings on the liners leaking. We rent the motor with it. New Holland had on individual case recall. They did not tell anybody they were going to pull it.
It's just if
you had issues, they're going to cover it. But the deadline ran out like February 20th, and we turned ours in February 15th. So we beat the deadline by like 5 days. So New Holland put a brand new motor in the tractor for us, and that's one reason we kept it. But then we turned around and had that transmission problems last year. So.
Which that one was pretty costly too.
It was a $35 part.
Yeah.
Factory put a plastic piece in, and once we fixed it, it went back metal. So New Holland knew they had a problem. They just didn't want to pay for it.
Let's do their hypothetical here. Let's say you got this tractor on lease. lease comes up while it's in the shop for an $18,000 repair. Can you just say, lease is up, it's your problem now?
That would be an interesting discussion. At the time last spring, when that New Holland was in the shop for 3 months, I probably would have walked away from it because I was getting aggravated.
Yeah, because you were in planting season.
Yeah,
you were down.
that was a major planting tractor. So
yeah. The Versatile you leased as well.
we did lease the Versatile. We're not a Versatile fan, but for horsepower,
And it was pre-emissions.
it was like $100,000 less to buy the Versatile over New Holland, same horsepower. So that's why we went that way. It is pre-emissions, but it's got that big C motor in there. And we eat up the brake pads in it in the first 2 years. That it was on lease. Versatile paid to put new brake pads, but they didn't note they had a problem with them. But that's a lot of the gremlins we're fighting now. We got a lot of that material still floating through the hydraulic system. The biggest head scratcher on that Versatile is last spring. You got it running, you get done at the end of the day, you turn the key off, pull the key out, and it's still running.
Which is very unlike a Cummins.
Yeah, at least it'll go. It was ready to go.
Oh,
It's very, very unlike a Cummins.
You
so.
battery disconnect, turn it off, it still run. You had to go up, pick wire off the alternator, gear shut down. So I don't know what was going on there.
oh,
It's
Yeah.
But no, like I say, lease is supposed to be not on your balance sheet. My loan officer did put my current lease on the balance sheet because the lease is on your credit report. It's your obligated payments for you're in like a 3 or 4 year contract with it.
right.
He put on there because some of the underwriters ain't smart enough to figure out how to get through some of this stuff. So,
Which that comes down to the importance of
Yeah.
a good banker.
yes. But then when you start figuring cash flow, you just need to make sure if it is on your balance sheet, they don't figure that payment in with your other payments, and you've got it in a cash flow number, on a rental number, then you're
Right.
double pinging yourself.
Well, I guess you still occasionally rent stuff like fertilizer spreader, just small stuff. You
We
use
rent
once a
small
year.
stuff, yeah.
And you've got a lot more stuff available to you through some local county programs and
That's
stuff.
correct. A grain drill, we're renting a grain drill. We sold ours. We was drilling
That's
grain
something
drill.
you use, 3-4 days out of the year?
Yeah, we were drilling our beans. Now we went to a planter. So now all we got to do is drill our wheat. 3 days out of the year. It wasn't worth keeping ours,
Right.
tying up barn space and insurance and taxes. And
And you got good equipment available to you.
we get good equipment available to us. Local co-op, fertilized buggies. A fertilizer buggy is very high maintenance.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So we just rent them when we need them. We do rent a telehandler every once in a while, if a loader goes down or something. But
But that's kind of
a telehandler is only good for one thing, and that's a loader. I mean, that's all it can do.
yeah. So my situation, I've never leased anything in my life. I looked at leasing whenever I bought when I bought the 210 Hyundai excavator. I actually looked at leasing back whenever I was going to buy the 140. Whenever I was going to buy the 140, I was seriously looking about the HX 145, which was a little bit more money. And money was a little bit tighter back then. And that was the sales pitch from the salesman: is lease it for a couple years, get it down, and then go back with it. But it's kind of like renting a house. I guess you are technically putting something towards an asset, but it's not technically towards an asset at that time. And honestly, if I would have leased that one back then, I'm not sure if I would have kept it because my damn business changed so much.
Changed through hands.
Where if I just would have bought it, if my business changed that much, I could have sold it and got my money back out of the asset.
Yep.
Where if I leased it and backed out, I'm just done, right?
Yep. It's we lease it, but then once you get into lease, it's like, man, you've made those payments on it. It's hard to walk away from it.
Well, I guess that's kind of where I was going with this thing is if you lease from the very beginning with the intentions to buy at the end,
Yep.
and you can spread those payments out,
yeah.
it makes a whole lot more sense. But if you lease with no intention to buy, I don't know. That's a tough one.
The
for me
one
to swallow.
benefit I see is leasing. If you can get If you can get your lease payment at a value that you think you're getting workload out of that tractor, because if you lease for 3 years, your implement's got 3-year warranty, and just turn it back in, get you an early lease. I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
you're getting out of repair and maintenance on this thing.
Gotcha.
If you can run a lease equipment, just bam, 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 just stay on a lease. But you don't want to be paying more on lease than what you think you're getting out of
So
it.
I'm gonna be devil's advocate here. What if you just bought that tractor
And trade it back in.
and trade it back in?
You could. Very
And
well
then you're
could.
building value, and eventually, if you do that for 10 years in a row and you trade every 3
Yeah.
years, you're eventually going to get to where you own a tractor and you're in full trade-in value is going towards the purchase of a new
New
one.
one.
Right?
Yep, correct. Yeah, if you can get that to swing in your balance sheet for sure.
So, on my side of things, I kind of covered why I don't rent stuff. It's just not available.
Yep.
I think, like I said, I think the last time we rented something was a mini excavator with a hammer on it for Grandma's project. That turned into an absolute nightmare, mostly because of the rental company, and he's out of business now, so go figure.
Yep.
How do I want to say this? On paper, it's always made more financial sense to me to purchase and pay towards an asset than it is to just have a payment out there and nothing to show on in return. What?
Those companies ain't going to lose money leasing equipment to you.
No.
So, I mean, you're out some money. So,
I'm trying to figure out how to word this to make it make sense. I, even to this day, sitting here right now, I am not cash rich. I don't have a big nest egg of cash sitting in a bank account somewhere to do whatever the hell I want to with, whatever. And I think a lot of people in my position within reason, of course, your definition of cash rich, I guess, is relative, right? Like, bills are paid, we're comfortable,
yep.
everything's good. But on my balance sheet, I'm extremely asset rich.
Asset rich. Yep.
Like, and of course, my assets, just like you said, with your equipment's high right now. So my asset sheet is looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Equipment's going to go back down, and that number's going to. But so is the stock market. It's going to go up.
Oh,
and
it all
down.
cuts up and down.
It's all relative. So the land prices go up and down. It goes back and forth. But
On our farm, as fast as we're growing, to go from 100 horse tractors to 400 horse tractors and 6-row planters to 12-row planters, and
small combines.
we're hovering that 50% ratio on asset to debt.
But you've grown. You've grown more in the last 5 years than I probably did in the last 10 years.
Probably so. Yeah.
With assets and equipment and.
Now our lease we got now, it's going to get interesting when it's done. I've got a New Holland tractor leased, and it's got a KMW brand loader leased on it. I wanted a New Holland loader, but that was through the COVID days, so supply and demand wasn't there. The lease is up. I'll probably purchase a tractor and walk.
150 horse tractor.
It's a 175 horse tractor, and I'll walk away from loader. I'll tell them take it off and keep it because it's the biggest pile of junk there is.
Sounds like me over there now.
I ran into the booth at the farm show last year, and at first he wouldn't even listen to me. Then he got up and started talking to me, and when I left, we should have been selling tickets for the crowd that rode in.
Sounds like me in Vegas at the New Dura booth. Yeah.
So no, this lease is going to get interesting because I do not want to purchase the loader that's on the tractor, but the tractor ain't bad. We do have it's a 4-year lease, and New Holland put a 4-year powertrain warranty on it for free. So the front axle's cracked on it, so we're working through that right now. So,
Really?
yeah.
We got.
Get some light gremlins in there, don't you?
Yeah.
Must be the wind blowing out there. So, but yeah, I guess to kind of cover up what I just never seen a situation financially for me that made sense to lease. Maybe it'll appear one day. I know it works good for some people. I know, but I want to get over to Aaron because you see it on a whole different place than what we do. You work in these major power plants.
Yeah.
And rental and leasing means a whole different thing to you guys than what it does to us.
Yes.
Because you guys pretty much, the company you work for is a major company. I don't know if you want to say the name or not.
Yeah.
They own 0 man lifts.
No, when they were small, they owned everything.
But that's more from a liability.
I think liability part of it, but look, I don't know how they or why they do it. I'm for sure there's some kind of a payoff in the end.
Well, so the pickers or the cranes are the same way. They got to be inspected annually. Is that correct?
Yep.
So if they can rent a crane and they can rent a man lift, they don't have to worry about any of the inspections or maintenance on it.
The main thing is I think like what you were talking about, Chris. I think like as far as the company I work for, I think they have to carry the insurance on it. But where we come in is, so we're running, let's say we got a 175 or a 220 JLG, and we get blow a hydraulic line. They come in and they fix it, free of charge, under rental. We don't have to have a mechanic on site.
But that's because it's a rental, not a lease, just to be clear.
Yes, yeah, that's a rental. And most ours, because we're in and out. We're not, biggest job, new construction job we go on is 9 months. So we're not even a full year on the job. So most of the rigs that come in for us, whether it be like a...
I'm going to say one thing for construction where they're hopscotching jobs is they don't have no transportation costs because they call a rental company, hey, we're done with it, but we need a machine up here tomorrow,
Yeah.
Well, and they don't have a whole bunch of assets sitting on the backyard waiting for the next job to pop up. Their assets are sitting on a rental yard waiting for a phone call from somebody else. You know what I mean? Whenever me and you worked on a lot of stadium jobs for another contractor, and renting was the only way to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We call up the local rental yard down there. We need this, and this, fork trucks, tractors, whatever it is. And there's no doubt there's a time and place for that. But I mean, you guys even rent your welders.
Yeah, we have, yes, they've gotten away. We do have our own welders, but you get on a big job, 50 to, like this last job, 75% of the welders we're using were rental welders.
Really?
Yeah, they're basically renting the welders too, but then again, it's something breaks, they replace it, they fix it, whatever to keep us going. And it's not out of their pocket besides for the rental fee.
So now, like, one concern I would have with that system you're talking about is, let's say you got an emergency outage tomorrow and you need 2 man lifts and a fork truck.
Yeah.
Nobody's got anything.
Even scheduling out there when we, in the past, during the COVID era there, even after, you schedule outage a year out and you can't find the equipment then. You're looking a year out trying to find welders, trying to find JLGs is a big one. Brake trailers. I mean, on a big job, you got to move into brake trailers. It was hard finding any of that.
So that's a huge advantage of owning that stuff.
Owning equipment,
you've got control over when it shows up, when it leaves, but you also got to deal with all the liabilities and the maintenance and and everything else. I don't know. So what's the perfect mixture? If you're a big company, do you own some and rent some, or what do you do?
Well, it depends on the environment I think you're in.
That's true. That's a good point. If you're loading salt, or if you're working around something corrosive, or
Well, running the jobs now that I do more and more, like as far as our company, which it's a pretty big company. They just bought out another company, so they're just getting bigger, which also means they've got more jobs. I wish they owned a little bit more than what they've got now, just because of the accessibility of getting it. It was nice years ago to be able to call down the shop, say, hey, we need 8 4-pack welders, or hey, is there any way we can get a couple JLGs up here, a 135 and an 80? It was just so nice. And now
it's all going to go through a rental company.
Now more or less it's all going through a rental company because they got so many jobs going and they don't have the equipment they had before. So
I mean, I guess part of my problem with scheduling stuff, like, I would love to rent a scraper for a job just for the video purposes of it and just to run one. But like that last big lake job we did, it got postponed almost a month and a half because of rain. And here I am paying rent on this thing, sitting there. So the equipment I owned, I took off that job and went to other work.
You can go to another job.
Which I could take that scraper off that job and go do other work too, but I don't have there to work for a scraper. I got there to work for an excavator and a dump truck. And here I am paying rent on this thing. The other thing is, if I own that piece of equipment, and I turn the key off, 90% of my equipment I own outright. If I turn the key off, other than keeping insurance paid on it, don't cost me anything. If I'm renting that piece of equipment, I turn the key off.
You still got rental payments
Still
sitting there.
got a rental payment. I guess you could even say that for
Lease. Yeah. Yep.
So I feel like owning it gives me more flexibility and more options. And I've covered some of this before in purchasing equipment. Like, you guys see my fleet. I don't go out and buy brand new stuff. I try to keep my purchase price down so I can have multiples of different things. I can have more tools in the toolbox, more arsenals, more guns in the arsenal, bullets in the chamber, how you want to say it?
Yeah.
All the above.
And I wonder, it just bumfuzzled me, the price that Hyundai 210 costs with all that steel sitting there versus the price we're paying for new tractors. I was just tripping over my tongue. I mean, like, wow. I mean, so I wonder if that's the value of the equipment's got something to do with lease versus buy too, I wonder.
Yeah, so we can talk in some generic numbers here.
Yeah.
So the Hyundai 210 with a bucket, thumb, coupler, long stick, all view cameras, pretty much dressed out.
Yeah.
Most you're going to get it. The retail price on that's $220,000.
Yeah.
I mean, you bought a used 400 horse tractor?
Yeah.
Used 400 horse tractor. How many hours on it?
I forgot how many hours it had on it now.
Like
but
1,300.
13 or 1,400 hours, yeah.
I don't know, what's the ballpark value of that?
It was already used. It's a 2016, so it's already 9 years old and still paid $225,000 for it. but it's sitting there brand new is just a hair over 400,000. And it's just a tractor on 8 wheels. I mean,
I think the problem I shouldn't say the problem, but the biggest difference between the farmers and us is the technology built into them, though.
and that might be too, but man, Tracos has come a long ways.
Oh yeah. Now, keep in mind my 210, my 210 has only got a 4-cylinder in it.
Yeah.
It's only 175 horse.
Yep.
You're talking 400 horse. You got a lot more engine, a lot more transmission,
A lot more torque because we're doing a lot of high speed.
Right.
We're trying to transfer that power
Right.
at a high speed.
So I mean, they are different. They are different creatures in their own right. But I'm going to take that a step further, though. I mean, I'm trying to think what my most expensive attachment is. Probably $20,000. I mean, you got a $300,000 planter hook behind a $400,000 tractor.
Yeah.
I mean, you're rolling across the field damn near $1 million bill.
Oh yeah, every bit of it.
And
Every bit of it.
I mean,
I like your dirt world a lot better than his dirt
I
world.
get more toys than my sandbox.
I know.
Now, what
But I do have to give my planner credit. It is. I think we could set on and go to the moon with it too. It's almost like a spaceship sitting back there. It's monitoring and doing a lot of automatic adjustments.
But now, so going to this though, that 210 can still pull that tractor out if it gets stuck.
It can pull a combine out for sure.
I shouldn't have said that, Chris.
I watched your video here last, and you're down there digging a hole, burying ash. Boy, he's setting another combine trap up. He's setting another combine trap.
Here, John Deere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I got so many comments on that. It's going to burn for me at the time, and you're going to sink in that. I think in ashes would be more. You get stuck in all the ponds we fill in.
Yep. I hate to see all those nutrients buried so deep. I like put that in a spreader, spread it across the field. That's all nutrients.
Everybody keeps. I know, but you know how much garbage is in there
Sticks.
with it?
There's a lot of sticks and stuff with it. Yeah.
I mean, you want to run that through your machine or pull your pull your spaceship planter on top of it.
You need to chop those sticks up, but there's a lot of nutrients there in the pile of ashes for sure. But
Well, it was windy is what it was that day. A lot of it blew out across the field.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff we pulled out of there was all that small brush, and it wasn't fully burnt, and there was stumps in there, and I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying you couldn't have loaded in a spreader and got rid of most of it. It would have been hard on the spreader, it would have been hard on the planter, been hard on the combine, it would have been hard.
And that straw bale sitting underneath there, yeah.
Oh, it's not crazy. That thing burnt for a week, and still had a straw bale sitting in the bottom of it. And that thing was hot a few times. That camera doesn't know justice how big that
fire gun.
I mean, I don't know how far that 210 will reach, but I couldn't go no higher. I mean, it was maxed out.
Which one was that one?
That
Down
was
here?
the one down here.
Yeah.
You were on there the first day, I think, and then you got called back again. We put that crossing in.
Yep. Yeah.
Matt's blaming you for washing out.
Yeah.
That
Yep.
one down there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I don't know. I guess it comes down to your situation.
Yeah.
There's advantages to all of them, right?
Yep. I mean, and like I said, the first lease we've ever done, we made money on it because the value of equipment went down.
No.
But they can never go the other way. Whatever the residual value, they cannot charge you no more. But it's helped us in quite a. You're trying to finance a $400,000 tractor.
Having the tool to be able to lease allowed you to grow the way you did.
Yes. Yep.
I mean, the flip side of me is having the assets on the balance sheet for me allowed me to make these big purchases without a whole lot of money down. Does that make sense?
Correct.
Which was a big help for me. And then I guess on your side of things, as far as the big power plant world, what do you, I mean?
Best part about it is I put it all on Matt Curse's reliability to get us taken care of. No, usually if I'll walk the job down with him, me and Matt will walk the job down, and I'll see because we use JLGs, Genies. Your man lifts quite a bit,
yep.
But I'll look to see what's more feasible, building a scaffold or using that lift.
Is there an advantage of renting and then you pretty much always get new equipment?
Yes. Knock on wood, we've been really lucky about getting pretty new equipment. I have been on a job, a lot of your new construction jobs, you're, say you're renting from JLG or Genie, it's overwhelmed with lifts. So they've got everything that they could possibly have on it, and then you'll get some old lifts that ain't operating right, and then they're always working on them, and you're always down a lift. But yeah, as far as like these jobs, going through renting them, we've been getting really lucky and getting real nice lifts. So, and we've been getting, like I said, knock on wood, because we have been getting good ones.
And when I was on Aaron's side too, I done construction there for 5 years. Our company was based out of Minneapolis. We was working in Chicago, Cincinnati, Indy, Columbus.
Right. I mean, just the trucking fee.
You get on that job, you pack up your job box, and you move to the next site. That equipment's already been delivered. They're going to come pick up the equipment you had rented, especially when you're covering a nation.
Yeah.
A nationwide company like I worked for there. Yeah. The rental was the only way they could afford to move it.
Well, I mean, there's a reason why all these rental yards are in business and make the money they do. I mean, rentals, I had a buddy that ran a McAllister rental yard for years. I mean, he serviced all of IU. It's big business for sure. So how, I guess that's a question for both of you, but on these big jobs, where do you stop renting and start owning? Like, how far down to the equipment line does it go? Do you rent chain falls?
Yeah, we go all the way down to chain falls. We just, on this last job, we needed, I think it was like an extra 80-some come-alongs, 1.5 ton come-alongs. We needed 30, 40 extra chain falls, 2-ton chain falls, 1-ton chain falls. I don't remember how many of each, but yeah, we ended up having to go through Harrington and renting them because we didn't have enough. That is something that we usually keep plenty of, but at that point we didn't. They had another big job going on in Alabama, so most of everything they owned was shipped down there, and we didn't have anything up here.
So basically, where you start owning at, and I say you, the company you work for, comes down to like electric hand tools and stuff?
Yes. Yeah, we usually, 90% of the time, if it ain't chaos, I think we have enough of our own rigging. This is the first time I've ran into actually having to rent because they went to buy first and they couldn't find any to buy, so they rented and we had to send them back. But all our hand tools, usually all our rigging. We got one 90-ton rig left and a 30-ton rig left.
So I guess one other possible disadvantage of renting is sometimes you have to use what they have and not what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, does that make sense? Because
Yep.
you may want a series lift and you end up with an S series lift, or you may want a Miller welder and you end up with a Hobart something. Or,
Yeah.
Do you think not having what you prefer, like the actual tool for the job, costs you enough productivity to justify not owning it?
Me, I wouldn't see. I don't see.
He don't work.
Yeah, he don't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
The guys that are working.
Yeah.
All he's worried about is his damn radio battery.
Yeah, it's radio.
Yeah. Make sure
Do
that
you rent
radio's
your- do you rent
charged.
your radio battery?
Yeah. We own them. No, I mean, I don't see how, but it's the bigger you go, the bigger companies, because I've worked for bigger companies than what I'm working for, and it was all rental. I mean, everything was rental.
Yeah. And I can definitely see where it makes a lot of sense to them. I can even see a contractor my size, if you had a rental yard right down the road,
available to you.
you could go
Yeah.
grab something for a day or two at a time or a week at a time. I could, for me, it turns into such a scheduling fiasco because I'm going to lose 3 days on a 2-day rental just getting the machine to and from me.
Yeah. It was
Does Cat at Evansville still have like a rental yard?
Don't talk to me, don't talk to me.
Okay,
like Chris was saying, out of town, I used to be that guy too. I turned into a 2-county boomer, I guess you could say. I don't like traveling more than 2 counties from my house.
He's like a
So I don't get out and travel all over like I did. But yeah, it is like you said. It's a lot easier. Like when we were in Jacksonville, Florida, working, it was a lot easier getting equipment down there. They did truck some of our equipment down. I think like a couple tail handlers, some laws. They shipped a couple of them down.
But I guess, what am I trying to say here?
One job site we pulled up on, we needed a lifting device with forks. And the rental company pulled up and dropped off a forklift, and it's a wet, muddy gravel yard.
Ooh, yeah, them fork trucks are awesome out there.
You call the company up, this ain't gonna work. Get us something else out here. And the rental company pulls back up, gets the forklift, drops off a telehandler, and leaves.
I wish Jason was here to talk about his last rental experience when he rented a skid steer and got one of those little dingo things.
No, really.
Ripped the cylinder off of it. It didn't go well. You know what though? In everybody's defense, it don't matter what you do. There's going to be pros and cons to everything.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, you're going to have to do what makes best for your situations. For me, it's buying. For you, it's a combination of both.
It's a combination.
For the bigger companies that Aaron works for, it's
rental.
Pretty much renting it. I mean, I understand why everybody does what they do. I wish we had a rental yard closer. I really wish we had a rental yard closer that had a long reach.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times I would have rented one, but it's just not feasible to get it here. And I know down in Evansville, you said Cat. I think they still rent stuff.
Yeah.
Who knows? But Brandeis does. Diamond does.
Okay.
I can't even believe I'm even going to say it. McCrary or whatever they are. The Herb Equipment.
Herb, okay.
I'm going to go on a tangent.
Do you want to get on that, huh?
You
want to bring things up, and you bring it up yourself.
People, if you guys watch my channel, there was a time back. There was one guy from there that reached out, and we had a great conversation, and we were going to move forward, right? Mm-hmm. That guy left, and I ain't heard hide nor hair from nobody since.
Huh.
Maybe it's, I don't know,
just ain't meant to be, is it?
It's aggravating. I tried to be the bigger guy. I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt, and here we are.
And you think they would look into it, because I look at the equipment that you own right now, and you're right at half, all same brand.
I got more John Deere than I got anything else.
I know.
Ain't it amazing how some people remember you, who you are over years after year?
Oh my goodness. Or I'd show up on YouTube and then their boss is like, why is this guy saying this? Because it's the truth, sir.
Yeah.
I went to a booth at the Farm Machinery Show last year, and they made one change to their piece of equipment that just ticked me off. Different than the loader. And I missed the first 3 days of the farm show this year, and John walked through this booth and was looking over this piece of equipment.
Is this a booth that my family has something to do
Yeah.
with? Yeah.
And he said, there's a big old burly guy here last year. He just pissed off about this. I'm like, how did he remember me?
Yeah, it's fun. Getting off on another tangent here, but My case dealer, my technical case dealer, I've been in business almost 20 years and never seen one person from there. And then the case dealer's name, my case dealer, which is Diamond Equipment, has called on me a handful of times over the years.
Yeah.
Of course, now they're my Hyundai dealer, and
Yeah.
it's got a little bit screwy with this DL 550 Minotaur deal as far as going back and forth and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. If I need you, I'll go find you. But if you want my business, I ain't gonna. And I don't want a salesman looking over my shoulder 24/7 either. You know, but it's nice to know you have a phone number if you need it.
Well, and I made that comment. We got an Apache sprayer. The salesman sold it to us. He come by the house once a year, just check in, see how things are going, what's going on. He left about 4 years ago, and I have yet to see
The first guy.
my first guy. I don't even know who my salesman is. And I said something to him over there. You know, I don't need you, but it's nice to have that working relationship.
But you don't need him right now, but you don't know when something's going to go down, or hell, you don't know if you're getting everybody new sprayer.
I know.
You know?
I know.
Well, guys, we may have a dump truck that just arrived. We're going to have to go unload. That's exciting.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to have to wrap this one up. Hopefully that makes sense for everybody, the lease versus rental versus buy. Kind of a random rambling conversation.
Yep. No, it's hard to.
I think us three sitting here is three completely different views on why we do what. So it was a good conversation about what it is. So if you guys are listening to this, don't forget we got a couple meet and greets coming up I want to mention real quick. The next one will be in Vegas, March 15th, the Volvo booth at 3:30. We're going to try to do something smaller, a local fair, July 8th, and then most likely something Utility Equipment Expo in the fall. Those dates have not been set yet. So if you're in Vegas, come see us. Me and you'll be there. Farmer Chris will not.
Nope, I'm headed out on family vacation.
Family vacation. So we'll be sure we hold down the fort for you. So all right, guys, thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next one.